words.
Well, for everyone that's tuning in live, welcome to the Impulse Watch Party. We are going to be doing this weekly on Saturdays at 6 o'clock. We're going to go through every year of our 20 years of Impulse's existence, and today we are starting with 1999, the fated first year of this crazy black and yellow group. My name is Aaron Zeilinger. I'm the core director here at Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps, and I'm joined with a fantastic panel of people. I have a co-host, Rafael, who's going to be helping me out. And I wanted to invite everyone, if you have questions or comments during the live cast, to click the question and answer button at the bottom of either Zoom or live on Facebook. Drop your comments there, and please keep in mind this is a family-friendly show. While we all are zany individuals, we also need to make sure that this can go to anyone and no one has any fear of inappropriate content coming out. So I hope all of you enjoy this. We're going to be starting right away with getting some introductions out of the way. As I stated, my name is Aaron Zeilinger. I was a part of the founding of 1999. Unfortunately, I had to pull out before the season went in. I marched my 3 full seasons in 2001, 2002, 2003. I was a cook for 2004, 2005. I was a recruiter in 2008, and I've been the core director since 2017. And next up would be Rafael.
Hi, I'm Rafael. I marched Impulse from 2001 to 2005, Euphonium in 01, and Contrabass the other 4 years. And then I came back to Impulse in 2018 as a staff member and as part of the board. And now I just started the board and serve as secretary.
And I am Raul. I marched in 1999 through 2002. Then I came back in 2004 as part of the food crew.
Next up would be Jeff.
Jeff, you're muted.
Of course.
There we go.
Let's see. I was Contra Tech in '99, and then I did all sorts of stuff up until like 2014. Off and on.
Wonderful. Next will be Yosuke.
Hi, my name's Yosuke. I was in Impulse from 1999 to 2003. And then in 2005, I was the baritone tech. And then in 2006, I was the brass caption head. So that was my end time with Impulse. There we go. I should have thought about what I was going to say before this. So I played baritone. That's right. There we go.
All right, next will be Chuck.
My name is Chuck. I was brass caption head from 1999 to 2001 with Impulse, and was part of the founding members that started this group. And drove trucks. I think I drove trucks too, right? Yeah, truck driver.
The wild, wild west of the early days.
That's right. Yes, dude, all of it. I didn't cook. I didn't do that. But, got trucks through customs and rehearsal sites and all that, yes.
All right, next will be Sonya.
Hi, my name is Sonya. I marched 99 to 2001. I played soprano. I was maybe one of the last people in the world to actually learn how to play brass on a 2-valve bugle at Impulse. And yeah, I'm excited to see the show.
All right, next is Luke.
Hi, I'm Luke Armstrong. I marched from 99 to 2004. I was on staff in 2006 and stopped by on staff in 2009, I believe. And then, so I was a drum major for 5 years. 2013, I took a year off and I marched cymbals. And just longtime supporter. Got a lot of Impulse hats in my lineup. I'm gonna probably go grab one here in a second.
Yes, the ever-evolving Impulse hat. And last but not least, Chris.
Why not least? No. I'm Chris Mathis, March Contra from 99 to 02. And we're talking about all the rest of the stuff. I guess technically I got a badge last year that said audio engineer. So I'm back with the Impulse family in a voluntary perspective.
All right, once again, if you're tuning in to this live broadcast, this is Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps. We're going to be watching our 1999 show, but we're actually going to start with some history. And for that, I'm going to hand it over to Chris Mathis to talk about sort of the initial spark that got this madness train going.
Oh, all right, everybody. First of all, I want to thank everyone on the panel that made it in. This is way cool to see a lot of these faces I haven't seen in many years. I'm all forms of giddy nostalgic right now, but I don't want to spend too much time talking about other drum corps outside of Impulse, but I feel it'd be a bit of a disservice to not talk, to at least give a nod to 3 corps in particular. Impulse wouldn't have existed to start without the Bridgemen. And if you don't know who the Bridgemen are, Google it. From there, we really need to talk about the Velvet Knights. But Bridgemen were the first ones to be an entertaining corps, try to be funny on the field, try to have something worthwhile going on. Moving on to the Velvet Knights, carried that torch, moved into Anaheim, and really got things moving from that perspective. Velvet Knights kept that spirit going and made finals with the DCI. As far as I'm concerned, the story of Impulse starts in 1996. The Velvet Knights were still an active corps, and after doing a few more shows that were traditional, the VK decided to go back to do more of their roots and did a magical mystery tour in space. Funny show, Darth Vader, and a lot of craziness. Again, Google it. I actually got my introduction to Velvet Knights in 96 because I actually went out to a show, saw them, and tried out, made a spot. And then my parents found out that it was a national tour and it'd be gone on a bus with a whole bunch of weird, strange adult people. And they said, no. So I had to give up after just the local show in Cal State Fullerton. Was all excited about it. I got the information. I went to a couple of the recruiting events for VK for 97. And I heard that VK was planning to do VK Velvet Knights in the Quest for the Holy Grail. VK was going to do a Monty Python show. Sounded so awesome. I was so in. Got to a couple. Before I could get officially signed up and get my money down, VK folds. Back in the day, there wasn't as many corps in SoCal, heck, in all of California as there are now. During the time, it was BD, BDB, Vanguard and Vanguard Cadets, the Mandarins, and this little corps that try to set themselves up to just like be there for people who had to do summer school, want to do the weekends. They called themselves Pacific Crest. They grew a little bit since then. So when I heard that there was a new corps that was going to be competitive from the San Diego Oceanside area called West Coast Sound, I decided to go down and check it out. So in 1997, I joined West Coast Sound and the entire 25-member corps. We almost had more staff than we had members. It was an absolutely atrocious and awful year. Things on there, I won't even repeat how bad they were, but I was almost done with the drum corps because of it. I see you mouthing off there, Raul. 98 rolls around, and it actually takes a number of new staff members to coax me to come back. I'm incredibly thankful that I did. The corps was completely different, twice the size, had a lot of real talent, not only in the members, but in the staff. A lot of them are still in this meeting here, and we all traveled together from 98 into 99. This is where Impulse really started to become a corps because there was some discussion in the background going on. Something new, maybe a new corps from Orange County, but everything was hush-hush. We had to get through our season. But that was the one that's where we started. It was the next generation of the fun, the funny, the entertaining corps. But it was, again, just words. When the season was over, I remember being at the end of the season banquet and having certain members flashing me these that were yellow and black with exclamation points on them. West Coast Sound continued for a couple seasons afterwards, but after that banquet, I think half to 3/4 of the core of West Coast Sound was the founding portion of Impulse. When we got in there, it was the core that moved over, and it was a really great leadership group that moved in. I remember working with the staff and my mother, helping get this image for a brand new uniform, trying to be very loud and aggressive. And we were helping getting it together. And that's actually what's over my shoulder. This right there is the original, very first prototype Impulse uniform. Some changes occurred. This one actually has full-blown long sleeves that cannot be rolled up. Might be hard to tell, but around the neck there's actually black piping. The zipper's a little weird on the back, but I was told to sneak off and put on this thing, and on the very first day, on the very first open house at Westminster High School, Charlie Grove pulled me out and said, this is what we're going to look like on the field. Giant exclamation points. We hadn't even figured out the hats yet, but we're like, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to be. And I mean, the whole Corps was a bit ragtag. I mean, I remember we got the horns that year. Some of them were just made from leftover parts. Some were horns from the 70s. I think most of low brass only had 2 valves, but we made it work. The way I remember certain terms and traditions that were created, like the rolled up sleeves and the term Zot, all came from really humble beginnings. I think we were trying to find where we should hold our hand while we were holding a horn, and we decided to have a closed fist over the dot of the exclamation point. We couldn't call it a period or a dot. We didn't know what to call it. Terms came around, and I think someone finally just said, that's the Zot. And that is the name that stuck. So technically, for all the people who are marching younger, the dot of the exclamation point is the Zot. But now I think it's the whole emblem.
The one caveat that did belong slightly to UC Irvine at the time.
I know they yeah. I was as soon as that name stuck, I totally thought, especially the way that we were covering with our fists, that we were going to have a war cry, a battle cry of "Protect the Zot," just because that's what we were covering for the time. Didn't catch on. Who knows? It might eventually. From there, the sleeves that became iconic to Impulse that now it seems like everyone else is doing. I remember us being at the very first night, very first competition, the first time we all got to put on these uniforms. And there was a staff member was like, because I think the drumline had them long, part of the brass had them rolled up. Just like one quick meeting, rolled up or down. And I think we all just looked at each other and went up, and it was just done. So quick and just very simple thing. That first show, finishing it off, I cannot tell you what state of euphoria I was in. I never felt like that after any performances through college, through high school, through other drum corps. It was absolutely amazing. There's something about the way that this corps was going to be built, this entertainment factor. It just overwhelmed me. And I knew from that day, the rest of my drum corps career, I was going to be with Impulse. So as far as I'm concerned, that's kind of the real base start of how we got together, and how, if the Bridgeman didn't inspire Velvet Knights, if Velvet Knights didn't fold, if West Coast Sound didn't pick up those pieces, and if we didn't have the members that got together then, and again, I'm looking at this meeting, and there's 4 of us that made that transition, it would have never turned into what the Corps is now.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. I mean, definitely, if you think of a rolling stone of entertainment drum corps, it definitely is rolled and picked up other groups and morphed and changed over time. And that was a great way to segue into small decisions that equal big impact. The rolled up sleeves, even when I came on as corps director in 2017, still had such poignancy to the members. And thinking back to 99 and you saying that it was just a snap decision, just because we had sleeves, we need to do something with them. Who would have known it became such a ritualistic thing in the drum corps?
It needed to be uniform and look. You know, it was a way to solve a problem at the time. And someone went, yeah, that's cool. And you know, that group of kids took ownership of it. You know, it wasn't something you had to do. It was something that you got to do. And quite honestly, that group of kids took beatings with a smile. And that's, you know, the reason why, and the staff took beatings with a smile too. I mean, that energy rolled, you know, and, you know, it's, yeah, you guys, I don't know, it's a simple thing, but it was your blood, sweat, and tears that made it, you know, valuable.
Well, thanks for that, Chuck. That actually ties neatly into the next question, which is actually for Chuck and for Raul. Both of you were involved in West Coast Sound before the sort of creation of Impulse. What was it that drew you to jumping into this new endeavor, into this new corps that was sort of kicked out the door of a collection of meetings in October and then shoved onto a field several months later? Like, what was it that brought you over?
For me, it was the quality. It was where the show was going. I mean, for those of you guys who know, I'm not a drum corps kid. I came in through it a different direction and loved the energy, but always questioned the weirdness of the show. Man, why are we celebrating B-flat major scale on the field like this? Everything else in my musical life has been, to sell tickets, connect to people, and have them leave singing a tune. And that last statement is, I believe the words were, I don't care who wins the piece of plastic. I want the crowd singing my tune when they leave. And I was like, yeah, I want to be part of that. That's where I want to go, And so that just naturally became like, well, then this is where we're going to go. So, yeah, it's about a good show. Now, Raul, I got a question for you, man, because, you had options everywhere, bro, and you chose us instead, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, I was 14, so I didn't drive.
That's probably, that helped a lot.
Impulse was a lot closer than Oceanside, and I couldn't get there anyway, but I would have come here anyways, just because I was a goofy 14-year-old kid with a weird sense of humor and a full-grown mustache.
Yeah.
So tell me that there's a core here that can entertain and, really focus on getting to the audience. I'm all about that. I want to be part of that. And I would do it again. Definitely. If I could.
So I have a question for this would be for like Chuck and Jeff, because you guys were there from the beginning. Who came up, or how did the name Impulse come about?
I actually know this, Jeff, or at least the story that I heard is I think this was one of the names on Charlie's battery pack, wasn't it? This was like a really cool option battery pack, and he was like, it was
on a drill or something.
Yeah. It was the drill.
Staff meeting, and a bunch of the staff had come over from West Coast Sound, and we had a staff meeting, and then we talked about it and talked about the colors and a whole bunch of stuff, and they're like, how about a name? And if I recall, Charlie, it said Impulse on his drill or on the battery pack or something. The rest is history.
Yeah, but it was in true Charlie form. It was like, all right, man, here it is. It's like the sky parted, this vision came down, the battery fell out of the pack, hit my toe. I looked down, it said Impulse, and that was what it was. And we just went, honestly, at that point in time, there was so much other stuff to be done. Because if I remember correctly, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that as we left to start this, a lot of people were looking, going, yeah, this ain't going to happen. And I think for a lot of staff members, we were kind of like, really? Yeah, we will. Watch us. So, at that point in time, the name was like, cool, that's one of 17 things that we have to do in this meeting right now.
We had a name and a staff, no instruments, none of that other stuff.
Yeah. Where were the horns coming from? And we got to don't worry about that. Okay.
It all just happened.
Yeah. Trucks, the whole deal, man. Charters were written. It was, it was raw. That was kind of, I knew it. I knew at the time we probably should have stopped and maybe paid attention and savored it, because the energy felt like it was going to last for a while. But quite honestly, man, we had to get to the field. We had a deadline, and everyone was pushing against us. So it was just like, yeah, we got to go.
Yep.
We were the misfit band of trouble kids before we even hit the field.
Yeah, just hearing that story, and I've heard the story a couple of times over the years, but that spark has always stayed with the group of like, I don't know what we're going to do, and I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to figure it out. And I think we can do something with that over there, and there's some scrap over here, and I think he's got a horn, and that's persisted through the years. And I can tell you, even in the past couple of years, there's been so many times where it's been, without those early days, I wouldn't have known how as a corps director now to figure things out. Everything explodes, if it wasn't for that early staff being able to, I don't know, Corps, we'll go.
There's not a week that goes by that I don't use that skill set somehow, some way. When shit's on fire and you're trying to figure out how to go and roll with it. Yeah, you think back to those times. So yeah, it was good life skills.
Yeah, for sure. Next question, I'm actually going to throw towards Raul. And maybe if anyone else wants to jump in on this one, how did any of you feel that Impulse in that first year was meant to take the place of Velvet Knights? I know over the years it's been linked together many a times, especially on online forums. Did you feel that in '99 of like, oh, we're picking up the torch, or no?
I mean, there was a bit of a discussion about that, about wanting to fill that void that VK left. But it was always very clear that we were going to be our own thing and that we weren't just VK Part 2. We were going to be Impulse and stand for itself.
You nailed it. You nailed it on the head. It was to fill the void. It was to be something entertaining, but by no means was it to replace those cats. It was just to, you know, I mean, everybody in that room was sick of going to shows and seeing. Honestly, great drum corps. I don't want to take anything back, but the entertainment value was gone. The wow factor was gone, and it was really that kind of heady approach was starting. And you know, we were just kind of going, "Hey, where's the fun?" You know.
Luke or Yosuke or Chris or Sonya, any of you want to jump in on that as well?
From an awards perspective, it was definitely there was the echoes and the homage, dedications to VK on the salute line. When everything was being handed out. So there were those things, you know, because that's what inspired me was Ryan Turner. He was one of the original VK drum majors. And then all of the other, drum majors like Bill Price and, these guys, it was just like, we got to keep it going for a little bit and then evolve it and see where it goes. But it was definitely a whole lot of fun. The audience got a whole lot of laughs out of what we did.
I don't think anyone was ready as to be where we're going to be. I think there was a lot of staff members like, we have to fill this void. We miss what we did, and we need to make this happen again. But I remember everyone was like, no, we need to do this because VK, and I know stories about the Bridgeman, rubbed a lot of places the wrong way because of that attitude that goes around with that kind of show. So it's like, no. We're all about the switch. When we're militaristic, we are on. When it's time to be stupid and funny, we're stupid and funny together. And that was the big draw that was supposed to be the difference, at least from how I remember it.
Anyone else have any thoughts before we move to the next question? All right. Next question is actually for Sonya. What drew you to this wacky core?
Oh, well, so, kind of building on what everyone else said, I wanted to do something fun and entertaining. I wanted to put on a good show. I didn't want to just be all serious, but also it was also the idea of building something new, of starting something that would, endure and like create traditions and have its own legacy. So, like Raul was saying, we weren't thinking we were replacing BK. We were creating our own thing. And that really appealed to me, this sense of we were creating something and I was going to be there at the start of it. That was really, really, really fun. And
One thing that would be important to kind of to note here is that even though we came up in very much in the shadow and the likeness of BK, at no time did anybody not want it to be its own thing. I want to say if it was there were mistakes at both, well, not mistakes, there were choices that this group of leadership decided they were going to go in a different way within that vein. But it was really the idea that the feeling that I got was that Bridgman or BK left certain members with certain ownership and certain feelings, within that activity that core group of people wanted to instill within the next generation. That was probably the only nugget that they wanted to take from one to the other. And that particular nugget was unique to every group that grew it, if that makes sense. It was a choice to be different. And even in that nature, if it was a choice to be VK, it wouldn't be different. So, it was really, just decided that everybody was going this way in the group. We needed to split. We needed to offer something else in that zone. So, sorry.
No. Thanks, man. That's definitely, that's something when I finally marched a complete season, that was definitely something that was imparted of like, it's not carrying the torch. It's the implanting of a feeling you know, that's always what was brought through to us.
And in years teaching afterwards, man, I never quite got. You guys in '99 really showed me what buy-in was. You know, I mean, '97, '98, West Coast Sound. I knew you guys. I knew you. The friendships with the people. I mean, was kind of what brought me down, both staff and students. You know, within that line. But it was the decision that we all made together in '99 to leave that comfortable spot and to go do something completely new that wasn't going to get accolades right off the top. And for me, I think the crux of that moment, you guys remember the first show that we had was the San Diego show. You remember going down to, was it Sweetwater, I think we went to? You know, it's the San Diego show. It was West Coast Sounds.
Yeah.
Yes, Chula Vista. That's it. It was West Coast Sounds home show. Do you remember the results of that show?
Beat them by 2.5 points.
Right. But do you remember how upset that crowd was? Do you remember how hot, you know, I mean, all of a sudden it was a statement at that point in time, and that solidified the group. Do you remember what happened the very next show? Which I want to say was closer to Orange County. It's West Coast Sound came back and whooped us, you know, beat us pretty hard, you know.
I have that from the San Diego show.
I guarantee you we didn't listen to this that day. You know, but you guys lost that second show. West Coast Sound came back and beat you, and you know, there was nobody. I believe the statement was the day that anybody that realizing that you were in somebody else's crosshairs, that somebody was gunning for you, gave you the validity, and honestly, that '99 group took it, and you just took off. I mean, we couldn't hold you back. I mean, that I've never experienced that level of buy-in. And honestly, it shows. I mean, look how many professionals we have in this group right now. Look how many people who are doing good things with young groups in this and doing good things in their ways. It was I mean, you guys, you know, bid it hook, line, and sinker, and it was fantastic.
So true.
All right, Jeff, and I mean anybody can answer it too, like any members. So I know when I worked in 01, just about like 95% of drumline were all from Arizona. And from what I hear, it was in the same case in 99 and 2000. So I just want to know, how was it like when Memorial Day camp came that first year and you guys had horns and drums together for the first time? Not having played with each other or heard each other's parts like all season long until then.
It was pretty awesome. You know, it was pretty. I remember right off the bat that we knew we had better drums than just about anybody in the biz. You know, and if you guys remember, do you guys remember Oregon? I think in 2000, Jeff.
Yeah.
When the Blue Devils line decided they were going to play the big boy and SmackDown, and all of a sudden this scraggly punk little Impulse line with this teeny tiny snare player, and they went toe to toe, and then Impulse whooped them, beat them note for note, and to the point where their own instructors had to pull them out and say, "Yeah, you guys are done," you know. And that was, you know, but it was we always had that idea, and it was we had strong drums, and then we had this horn line that thought they were stronger, you know. And you guys had this sort of beat each other up approach, and you lifted each other up, you know. And it was just times where it's like you could see where the horns would say, you know, would push through, and you would just whoosh, have this big sound. The drummers go, no, or we have that, and they just give you a little extra, you know, arm, and you guys would just beat each other up. You know, you grew each other, you know, and they were. The interesting thing is, I think the one thing that you would never get from another corps at that point in time is you guys didn't have a choice. You know, I mean, it was pretty clear in the activity at that point in time, still pretty clear now, that if somebody's not pulling their spot, there's 10 or 15 people behind you that'll fill that spot. And it keeps you going. At no time in 99, 2000, 2001 did Impulse do that. If you fell on the ground, dude, they leaned over and picked you up. They might have yelled at you. You know, they might have, they might have had something else for you at night. I don't know. I was staff. I didn't see that stuff. But, you know, you didn't let them go. You know what I mean? You guys, that was your team. That was your, you know, that's who you went into battle with. And no matter how warm they were, you picked them up and dusted them off and brought them back the next day. I didn't see that in any other corps. You know what I mean? That wasn't there. It might be there in the senior guys, and I apologize if I saw it wrong, but you know, it was that there was never an attitude that it was almost like you're on this bus and you're not getting off until we're done, you know, and so you better get out and do a good job. And I don't recall anybody who didn't, you know. I mean, I've been seeing the name Baba on here, and I'm waiting for a 13-year-old to tap in.
Ladies and gentlemen,
there
Joey
he is.
Baba.
Yeah.
Joey Baba.
Hey,
There's the Baba.
I apologize. I was actually helping out Irene like 30 minutes ago in her backyard, so I apologize for being late. It's good to see you all.
It's where you sit, dude. Where's your booth?
When Rafael asked me about this, like, let's go down. So back then, I'm incidentally enough amongst this panel, I'm still the youngest one.
You'll always be the youngest.
Sonya might have stopped aging, but mathematically, I'll be the youngest
Yeah, Sonya, you look like you could march tomorrow.
Yeah, sneak in.
I feel like I look like Charlie Grow in '99, and that's great.
So it's different. I don't know exactly. I actually don't have, because it's like 99, early 2000s, I don't have a lot of digital photos, all the stuff. When you look at social media now for drum corps, it's like, man, you could like live stream this whole, like the whole tour, and it's pretty cool. And, obviously it's like the various snapshots and highlights of that moment, but it would have been pretty cool to have some of that stuff, in 99, early 2000. So that would have been a lot of fun.
Well, now that you're on, Joey, we went around and introduced ourselves at the beginning. If you could introduce yourself, tell us the years you marched, and maybe a little bit like what you're doing right now, that'd be great.
Okay, so hi everybody, I'm Joey Baba, one of 4 Babas that passed through the illustrious halls of Impulse and Bugle Corps over like a 12-year period. So like some of these guys on the call, started in 1999. I marched Impulse 1999 to 2005. 2006-7, I went up to the Santa Clara Vanguard, and then I aged out with the Madison Scouts in 2008. So that's 10 years of marching. And oddly enough, after that, after wearing a uniform of some kind and have people say motivating statements to you, I went and joined the Navy in like 2012 at like 26. They had an intelligence program that I went into. So I went and joined the Navy. And that, oddly enough, I'm at 8 years of active duty and reserve time in the Navy, in E6. So between those two things, it's like 18 years of like structure. And what's made it really funny, especially on the Navy side. So I deployed to Iraq in 2018, and it's like hot. It was like really hot, and I'm in the Navy, and there's like no ocean and like Erbil, Iraq, and I'm working an intelligence mission. I was like, well, I'm not doing circle drill. That's always I've kind of always framed
doing circle drill.
That is literally how I've always framed that
messed
time.
You guys up.
Is like from that. It's like, well, I'm not doing circle drill, and like I have water immediately available, so no coming out ahead. And that was in 2018, and I still thought about that. So, and my real good job, I work at a company called Salesforce. If you've ever been up to San Francisco, they own the giant building in downtown SF. So I work there as a security engineer. So a lot of the military, and here's where the big difference is, there's a lot of guys that I've met who do drum corps, who actually joined the military. Two of my really close friends, I actually spoke with him the other day. He joined the Marine Drum and Bugle Corps. We marched the Madison Scouts together. My former section leader from Santa Clara is in a Navy band. Another one of the horn sergeants from 2007 is in the Navy band in Norfolk. So something about that organization and structure, yes, there's those military ties, but something about the organization structure and that these guys get paid to play, is very, very alluring. So I've always used, like, especially my impulse experiences, because I came in, I know Rafael wanted me to, talk about what's like being the youngest. It's not so much the youngest. I mean, that's kind of funny, because when I joined my Navy unit, it was filled with a bunch of old timers. I was like 26, and that made me like 8 years younger than everybody there. But always kind of just being like this goofy outsider, in terms of both maturity, because I wasn't like a professional musician like so many people in this culture into, but also just like life experience and perspective. So when I started so young, and I was the youngest person in the Corps for like 3 years, 2001, 2002, I think 2002, we finally started getting people for like sophomore years and juniors in high school, and I caught up. But up until that point, I was the youngest person. And, I know it was never intentional, but you're always kind of just otherness and kind of different. But, and again, early teens, that framed a lot of the way that I think now as being an outsider. So, for example, when I did deploy to Iraq, I was in the Navy, and I got embedded with a group of Marine Special Forces guys. I'm very different than they are. when I joined Salesforce, all these guys went to school and they hit their wickets correctly, and they pulled me out of an intelligence program for the Navy. So it's a little bit different, and that provided a great framework for, achievement and thinking. But it's, again, it's like, I'm not doing a circle drill. Yes. Like, we just got, like, somebody just tried bombing the base or something. Whatever, I'm not doing a circle drill. And like with like euphonium, I played euphonium in Santa Clara and as a Scouts, and I played euphonium because nobody volunteered to do it. Everybody wanted to play baritone because it was like easier, perceived to be easier. So they're taking everybody from baritone. I was like, I'll play euphonium. Like, nobody's gonna do that. So I ended up doing that.
I don't know where Charlie's at right now, but he must be beaming with pride right now.
It's funny, both myself and Dana, who's going to do one of these one day. She doesn't know yet, but she's going to do it. Also in the Navy, and we were actually talking about it. It's like, yeah, some parts of like she went to what they call fork and knife school for like dental officers. She said like it was like one of the easiest things she ever had to do because she did drum corps at a much younger age. So you have that frame of experience already of being away from your family, being, the structure of being on your own. Like as Chuck pointed out, good to see Chuck, was like, you have to still carry yourself, learn your own parts, learn your own music. A lot of guys get to the military, something I still see, this is the first time leaving home. And you kind of got to yell at them. So one of the funniest lessons that I've come up with is that the military will beat anything they can into you. There's different consequences. If I screw up at Salesforce long enough, I'll get fired. If the military will just beat you. The one intrinsic value that I see both in drum corps and from various special force operators is a lot of self-motivation. None of us ever probably suspect, especially on staff, still don't get paid all that much to be there. So why do it? Why put your body and like your summer on hold? I've spent a lot of summers in a lot of heat doing this, so that's something to think about.
All right, Joey, not to cut
That's
you off.
worth it.
But,
Worth it. And to close it all off, despite everybody claiming to age out body, I've done 8 years in the Navy, 10 years drum corps. My knees, ankles, all work. Like my body was, because I started so young, my body just grew into this activity.
You're still a kid, dude. You are still a kid.
I grew a beard. My work was like, nobody shave. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna look like Raul.
Well, if growing a beard is part of it, I'm still a kid, But
all right, Joey, not to cut you off, but move on before we show the show because we're running low on time. Ski, this next question is actually for you. That first year, what were some of the things that like you thought were gonna go wrong, but ended up like going very well and great, and vice versa?
I don't think I had any experience to know what was going to go wrong in any way, shape, or form. I think it went. Just the fact that we got rolling along was incredible. I thought my question was supposed to be my favorite memory, so I had that locked and loaded. Can I answer that one because I have the most random thing I remember vividly?
You absolutely can jump to that one.
Can we remind you that this is a family show?
Oh no, of course. This is just something.
Doesn't have anything to do with duct tape, right?
No,
Okay, good. Just checking sure.
But all the years kind of blend together, so this could have been a different year. But I'm pretty sure it was the first year. The only thing one of the vivid memories I have was we were sponsored by a Taco Bell. I believe we were.
Oh, that was West Coast Sound.
Yeah, that was West Coast Sound. Bell's West.
Dang it. That my memory is all messed up.
That was West Coast Sound, dude. Yeah.
Go with it anyways. Go with it.
Can I go with it?
Yeah, why
That's
not?
my favorite memory then. This is one of my most random memories that I still have. I guess that makes sense then because we're coming back from San Diego and it must have been people like me and Aaron and maybe Raul because it was just people from like the general LA Orange County area taking this bus up. And there was a box of bean and cheese burritos that were left on the front seat of this bus, along with a bag of taco meat. And I just remember taking home a bag of taco meat and a bunch of bean and cheese burritos. So you're welcome, everybody. That's my favorite memory of drum corps. That's really about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Freak
Hey,
COVID days.
Yeah, do you remember it before the last show in Stockton when I got on the bus and you guys handed me the fresh bag of jerky?
That was a couple years later.
That was 2000.
Was that 2000? Okay, cool.
Save that for next week.
Save it for next week. Okay, I'll save that for next week.
Okay.
You demanded those things, so I'm just gonna
Demanded those things.
I did not offer those to you.
But you have to remember that all of you guys looked at Brandon's lap like a time bomb. And I just looked over. I knew exactly what was in this. I was like, oh, this will be great. So I demanded them, and you guys were like, I'm not sure what to do with this. Then I ate one, and you guys were like, ooh, wow. And I distinctly remember thinking to myself, why do dogs need teriyaki flavor? Do dogs know what teriyaki tastes like? Do they like teriyaki? And then it came across me like, yeah, it's a little smoother and better than I thought.
It's good stuff.
All right, as a brief intro again, anyone that's tuning in, this is Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps talking about their inaugural crazy year of 1999. This is the panel of people that were involved in one way or another, either with current Impulse or that particular year. We're going to be showing the show in just a little bit. We've got one more question before that point. We're going to take a couple more questions afterwards. If you have any questions, please drop them either on the Facebook chat or on the question and answer button on Zoom. This is going to stay up afterwards, so make sure your questions are family appropriate. And if you have other memories that aren't family appropriate, you can email them to corpsdirector@impulseyoutharts.org or to secretary, which is Rafael, at impulseyoutharts.org. We are also running a fundraiser right now. You can find the link on our Facebook page. Every t-shirt that's sold, part of the proceeds goes towards keeping us up and going during this current pandemic crisis, so please go over. It's only $20, and a portion goes towards keeping these kids going. So, before we show the show, this last question is going to Luke Armstrong. What were your thoughts about being in a first-year group and being one of the drum major types of that year? Like, what memories or what impressions really sunk in about it being a kick-out-the-door drum corps for that first year?
Well, I showed up. My first day was Memorial Day camp, and I showed up the Friday night. And basically, Al Peralta told me, he's like, "You're going to Catella High School, and you're going to be the drum major for this group. They need a drum major." I was like, "What? Okay, I'm going." Like, I've been doing the conducting competition thing, and I love drum corps. I had just like fallen in love with it the summer before. I had grown up with VK rehearsing in like various places near my hometown, and so I had heard that when I was younger, and so I was just like, oh cool, I'm gonna go march drum corps, and I showed up, and it felt like you guys had done such a great job of bringing forth all this energy that I walked on. I was like, oh, this is a legit corps, and I'm gonna do my absolute best. And the next day, I woke up at like 6 a.m. and Charlie drags me out to the field, and I'm lining fields and putting down grid. And corps comes out. I'm just like, dude, yeah, all right, we're doing this. It's just like this is on. And I had Matt was the lead drum major. I was the backfield and sort of like one of the characters in the show. And it was just everything. Everything was amazing. I loved it. And it was a quick tour, but it was like it felt so long for some reason. Maybe it was because we started at like 7 a.m. and ended at like 12 at night. But it was great.
It was all the circle drill, as Joey said, of course, right?
Unending.
Oh, a lot of life lessons learned in a circle, like how terrible circle drill is compared to the rest of your life.
Life comes full circle.
All right, everybody. We're actually going to show 1999 now. It's been a long time. We're going to put that on the screen, and then we'll have a couple questions at the end. Remember to drop your comments on our Facebook chat or in the question and answer portion on Zoom.
Yeah, and I would ask all our panelists if they just mute themselves for right now, and then after we show the show, it will be question and answer time.
The stuff to throw out there. That's it.
car. Put the heater on the car.
Right. Can you see, Rick?
Think.
Him over there. It's only when it's along here, right? I don't know, it could be.
DCI, ASCAP, and BMI prohibit any videotaping of tonight's show. Also, do not allow any audio tape recording. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Impulse. Welcome to the year down here in Southern California. This is my first evening proceeding. Looking forward to hearing you. Now, welcome to the situation.
Kicked into 35-mile-an-hour winds here all of a sudden.
We build a fire here, Mike? Sure. If you can.
You gotta come out east for Pittsburgh summers, Mike. You'd enjoy them. Shit, you know there's just...
I've been there. U.S. Open, American International Open. I've done them. Whoa. First, a couple of points.
Yeah, that's a good headstand here. I'm going to start commenting already.
Of course, you can't stand up now, but...
Yeah.
Are the judges ready?
Yeah. Looks like you guys
We're
are.
Ready. Drum Major Larry Bookham Dano, is your corps ready?
All right, Bookham. Yeah.
Impulse,
Hey, when it happens.
you may enter the field in competition.
Okay, here it is.
Focus for the auxiliary work. I don't know about taking in the foul and making them so small into that foul. Certainly we'll have a lot to do from the, standpoint of putting in work. The gestural efforts will help by the short problem work.
Make a little bit more of that music.
Actually, it sounded like it was more conscious focus, and then looking at this little focus thing down to the by the baritones in the final second. Not understanding the staging where you're trying to create focus or not, and look at some of the placement. Okay, percussion just backfill this, but over dramatically here. Very mechanical in the writing aspect, and not really writing to the musical phrases.
I want to try to unify some of the unisons there and not have so many people doing different things. Structuring your chords a little bigger on the bottom.
Okay, and a change of mood, legato phrase. Didn't really see that interpretive enhancement in the motion of the body. focused percussively, kind of waiting to get the guard over there. And actually, at the very over there, the drum focus was over. Baritones over here on the right side. Understanding where the voices are and what's going on at that particular time. Landing on crazy, like a little hand thing with the snares, visual hand helps. Dynamic visual support here. Velvet Night kind of thing, and maybe you need to do that if you only got the 4 auxiliaries, do some more of those enhancements, all of a sudden it's got real mechanics and support the phrase. Let's put the players, get a little bit more texture. And I know it's real tough. Visual support, but I think we need to look at more innovative ways of using them in places inside the toy, in moments in the toy, creating moments and places for them. Go on focus here. Oh, okay, and I get it's incomplete, but just a hand on the hip, and constantly kind of getting into it. Why does everybody else have to be so militaristic? They're doing all kind of, expressive things out there, and why can't the soprano voice even in, I know, in a mild gestural effort, to give us more visual accompaniment? Visual clarity is also a concern we need to develop. I didn't follow that at all. Which was to determine which cluster you wanted to select? This is kind of cool, like the horn things. Like a watercolor on. Okay. Podium, I guess. Okay, all this separation here, at least right now, separation might connect. That's what seems to go with the phrase where now it's getting soft form, long velvet, some of the separation didn't really get a good sense of visual
good. Nice job. Visual enhancement, finishing phrases. You know, and then you go to these rules.
The Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps. Executive Director for the...
There it was, first year. Sound was fantastic. Audio was choppy. It was it's perfect.
What do you expect from 1999?
I know, right? Yeah, all I kept thinking the entire time was, I think the volume Spinal Tap, which is like, this goes to 11. It's fantastic. For everyone else that's jumping on right now or that just missed it, this is going to be existing on our Facebook page for Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps. It's also going to be on YouTube. That was the Impulse 1999 inaugural show. I received a question during the video saying, was our core song chosen in 1999? Just so everyone knows, we didn't have a core song for most of the time Impulse existed, at least not a stated one. It changed year to year. There were different songs that sort of we latched onto. I remember in the first couple years, it was Prelude to Anxiety, which was something that Dan wrote. There was a little while where it was attached to different tuning sequences. And it wasn't until around 2014, 2015 that the board voted to make the core song I'll Be There, which was from 1999, mainly because the identity of the core that has really come to define us is that sense of perpetual family. A lot of the core, since we're an open class group, has moved on to other groups, but there is something about Impulse that has us coming back to it most of the time. And what we've done is identified that as that sense of acceptance no matter where you go. So that's why I'll Be There has become our core song. Now that we've gone through that, do we have any reactions from the panel about that initial audio blast, video blast?
I don't remember any of that. Like, I remember the beginning of Good Vibrations because it's such a catchy hook. But other than that, you're just like, I'm like focusing on it as like, so. Then again, not a lot of video recordings existed of this. I don't think my parents even have one, despite all the other random Impulse stuff that we have. Somewhere at my parents' house, there is a box that has like 6 Impulse hats of mine, like Luke has.
There's 2 videos that I know of that are in existence, and the one that we were just showing Raul has, but I'm pretty sure both of them were shot. No, the first one was shot by my mom, because that was a show we went to. I don't know where the one we just showed came from. Do you know where you got that from, Raul?
I might have gotten it from Ron, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not.
I
I'm
have
not sure
it.
because
I've always had it, and I didn't tape over it. So lucky.
I have one question while we're on this, just because of that. Jeff, how come you didn't whoop our asses harder? That was some of the muddiest contra work I have ever heard.
You know, those were some wonderful horns too, you got to admit. But you know what?
Were awesome.
Listening to that, they should go back to G Bugles.
Yes.
I'm old, but the power of
I would
those
do that too.
I don't think.
And 2 bells.
You know, I think that's a big chunk of it. You're listening to it, and since the audio quality side, but since it is old school G Bugles, it's like that doesn't have that certain level of coarseness to the sound.
We'll go back to piston rotors.
I have a question for. I have a question for. This can be answered by Luke or Joey. Whose idea was it to put Joey inside the water jug? And was his only purpose to be the backstand conductor? Luke, you're on mute.
It was Rich Henshaw.
You there? Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I want to say it was Henshaw.
I want to say it was Henshaw too, because it's a very VK thing to do.
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to be a water bottle, right? Like, so we painted it yellow and red, red lid and all that.
Yeah, a cooler. One of those got coolers is exactly what it was supposed to be.
Yeah. And then but you threw a B flat trumpet on the field. Like, you spiked the trumpet on the field in spite of the key change happening. So it was like, I think it's the most like, violent like moment in the actual debate of like G versus B flat.
And we saw which side won of that anyways.
Yeah, right. Oh man.
All right, so this
I'm still amazed at the contra line. The contra line was incredibly loud. 4 people just like cutting through like mad. It really good.
If I want to be honest, if I remember that line correctly, it was Ted, myself, Alicia, and the guy who had never played anything other than an E flat tuba and never got fingerings right. And I remember like,
who was that 4th dude? It
yeah.
wasn't Gabe.
No, Gabe didn't go to 2000. Yeah. I was the only one who returned from 99 to 2000 on contract.
Xander?
Oh,
what was that?
Xander?
Yeah.
I don't remember much. He didn't speak much. He was a little quiet, a little weird.
Yeah, Google Sheets back then.
Yeah. But I remember like anytime we had like big open chords and he figured out what the vowels were, like he would just be like, ah. He had the notorious, he had 2 volumes, horns up and horns down.
Nice. So the next question actually goes to Yosuke, which is, what was the origin of the butt slap visual?
Yeah, some of the mellophones did a visual. I guess I deserve that. But yeah, I think, I'm almost sure, it's because someone in Raul, you did it. I imagine so. But I think that was a USC band visual, wasn't it? And I think that's where that came from.
Yes, one of the mellophones in the section was from USC. I think his name was Brian. And he did not tell us that he was stealing it from USC. We just kind of threw it into the show, and it synced up perfectly. And yeah, later found out it was a stolen move, but a great one. So worth it.
All right, this one goes to. Did we lose Chuck? I feel like we lost Chuck.
Chuck, his daughter has a promotion thing going on right now, so he's doing that with his daughter right now. But he said he definitely wants to come back next week.
Then I'll throw this out to anyone that remembers this. Who came up with the offsides beginning?
That was Luke. Luke, that must have been you.
No, I didn't come up with it. I was just like taking orders from. It was either Al Peralta or Rich, and it was like, I think it was Al, because I remember Al helping me like paint the shirt, and then like we put together some sort of like yellow flag. But I'm pretty sure it was Al Peralta.
I'm thinking you're right. I remember the staff meeting where they're like, what would be really cool? The rest is history. But I forget who started it. We had some great staff meetings back then.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's the catchphrase for the show designs for the first 7 years of Impulses. You know what would be really cool right here?
Just do it.
But dude, like a lot of the times the members came up with stuff. We'd be like, oh, we gotta put that in or keep that in. So is it organic?
Definitely organic. Well, for anyone that tuned in during this this Facebook Live or on Zoom, this was our get together of Impulse 1999. We went through the beginning of the inauguration, the birth of Impulse, and its subsequent history. Luke is showing off is that a flag or a uniform?
That's the Impulse flag.
There you go.
That's my age out. It's my age out flag.
Yeah, Chris has got the prototype uniform in the background. We showed 1999. We've shared some memories and gone through some history. We're going to be doing this again a week from today on Saturday on Facebook Live again, also on Zoom. We'll go through a panel of people talking about the beginnings and sort of the year of 2000, the first time we traveled out of state and what that looked like. We'll be showing 2000 again and doing question and answer, so make sure you tune in. Impulse is also doing a t-shirt sale right now. It's a custom ink t-shirt. You can find the link on our Facebook page or on our website. Every shirt that's purchased helps keep us going and keeps this gloriously wacky and zany group alive. So make sure you go log on there. There's only $20 for a t-shirt. Whether you have marched, will march, or know someone that might want to march, please keep Open Class Corps funded and alive. Thank you all for joining me. It was so great seeing you. And I can't wait to see you all next week. And goodbye, everybody.
Is nobody going to point out the fact that Jeff looks like the Big Lebowski? Have we covered that? Okay,
we'll have to hit that again next week.
That was a huge dude.
We'll
He
show
looks
off
like the dude.
real judges tapes.
It's two different people.
And I never.
He's not Lebowski, man.
The dude in the flesh.
He's the dude. He's the dude. I've been staring. It's the middle screen on mine, and I've been staring at it the whole time. Like, what movie came out in 1998 that we must have watched on the bus?
All right, guys. Have a wonderful night. Till next week.